If you've decided you want to invest but feel stuck about where to start, then this video is definitely for you. Congratulations actually on making up your mind that you really want to invest, because a lot of people talk about it but they don't necessarily take the required action. To invest in the stock market, you have two options. In fact, more than two options, but I'll start with two. You can buy individual shares of companies. If you do that, you'll probably require a lot of capital, and it's going to take you quite a long time to hold some of the companies that are really profitable and would help you out financially at this present time. Your other option would be to pretty much buy a fund. So the question is, what is a fund? A fund is a container that holds a number of shares, like a basket. And when you invest in that fund, there's a fund manager who manages the fund, who's responsible for buying and selling those shares. For the benefit of having a fund manager, you in turn will pay a management expense fee. A good fund will charge you roughly even 0.2%, or let me say, for example, 1%, just to give you an idea of what the figures look like. So if you invested 10,000, they'll charge you 1%, which is $10 per year. That's all that you're paying for their expertise. Now that you know that you want a fund, and that's what you probably want to look into, the next thing is, what do you buy? So before I proceed any further, I just want to make a disclaimer here that this is not financial advice, it's financial education. This is based on what I would do if I was starting from scratch. I've been on this journey of being a do-it-yourself investor in the stock market for the last 20 years. And this is what I would definitely do if I was starting afresh, or investing for my son, for example. Now, in the stock market, I would focus on the largest economy in the world that is traded on the stock exchange. That for me is America. Some may argue that China is a larger economy, but my greater focus and confidence is in America. I would want to purchase a fund that invests in the top 500 companies in the United States. So what that means for me is that if those companies do not perform, if some companies do not perform well, I know there's definitely going to be other companies in that fund which are going to do really, really well. And as a result, my portfolio will grow. An example of a fund that invests in the top 500 companies in the US is the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. Now, it is referred to as the VOO, as in VOO. That's the reference for the fund. I'm interested in this fund because of its performance. I'm an investor who's driven more by data. If I'm going to invest in something, I want to see how has it performed over the last 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, as much information as I can get. So when we look at the Vanguard S&P 500, last year, its performance over 1 year was 16%. So if I invested 100,000 in the Vanguard S&P 500, after 1 year, my balance would have been 116,000. I think that's really, really good for passive income. Remember, you're just putting the money there. You don't have to manage the business. The businesses continue managing themselves, and you're getting growth from the profits of those businesses. But even better, when we look at 5 years performance for the Vanguard S&P 500, their 5-year performance is 93%. So 100,000 invested in 2020, by the end of 2025, or let me say as of today, the last 5 years, has turned into 193,000. That's an extra 93,000 pounds or dollars in your pocket, depending on what currency you're operating with. So can you imagine what you would do with an extra 93,000? That's a down payment for a house. That's a retirement fund money for you. That's money for you to pay for your children's education. So I found my information on Google, and just to show you where you can find that information, I'm going to show you my screen recording and walk you through the journey. So when you open your account, you can open your account with a broker here in England or in the US, wherever you are. Once you deposit your funds, then you have to actually buy the fund. Depositing the funds in your account does not mean you're participating in the stock market. It only means you've put money aside. And when you're looking for the fund in the account that you've created, you can just type into the search icon VOO and it will come up as Vanguard S&P 500. Or you can actually go onto the Vanguard website and buy the fund directly from them. By the way, this fund is really good. It has a low expense ratio. So just to give you a heads up with regards to that. So here's just a video of our fund returns and to give you an idea what the fund is invested in and in terms of the sectors as well. So here we are on Google Finance. I'd like to share information with you on the Vanguard S&P 500 so you can see what the data says. When you see the data and the performance, that will also give you confidence in investing in the fund. So we can see from the price of 591.57, that was the price of the Vanguard S&P 500 as of the 15th of August. We know that for 1 day's trading, it went down by 0.22%. But my emphasis that I want to focus on is performance over 1 year, 5 years, and maximum performance. So when I click on the 1 year, I can see that the percentage changes to 16.12%. That tells you that in the last year, the Vanguard S&P 500, whatever you would have invested in it, would have grown by 16.12%, which returns you to the example I gave you earlier about someone who invested 100,000 would then have 116,000. So, and then if you click on the 5-year option, we see 91.13%. This is where our 100,000 would have turned into 191,113. And then if we look at max, let's see 481.22%. So imagine if you invested 100,000 and over the lifetime of the Vanguard S&P 500, your increase would have been 481.22%. I hope this helps you understand why you should invest in the stock market and that you understand that this is also the beginning of your journey. But I want to share as well additional information. So I'm going to navigate to another screen that will show us what this fund is actually invested in. What are those top 500 companies in the US that we're talking about? So finally, I hope the information that I've given you has increased your confidence with regards to investing and where to start the journey and how to become a do-it-yourself investor yourself. So over the next few weeks, I'll be covering other things with regards to investments. But if this information has been beneficial to you, I do have an ask that you like and you share this information. Your support means a lot to me. Thank you so much.